Hola, it's your tía Jasmine, lista con su cafecito, to read you all some Am I the A-hole birth drama. Así que hay que ponernos cómodas to read today's story. A suegra tried to force her way into the delivery room, because apparently birth is now a spectator sport. I know. Welcome back to Tia Jasmine Spills the Birth Tea, where we talk birth drama, family chisme, and wild expectations of families expecting babies. Today's mother-in-law, sí que tiene valor. Let me tell you that. So let's get into it. Am I the a-hole for telling my mother-in-law that she's not going to be in the room when I give birth? Okay, before I begin, I need to clarify that I am a trans man. I was AFAB, but transitioned about 5 years ago. I, 30 male, am 38 weeks pregnant with mine and my husband, James, 33 male, first child. We had talked about children before I transitioned, and we both said we wanted them. After I transitioned, he asked me if I would be okay with carrying our child, and if I'm not, we could look into other options. I told him I still wanted to carry our children as I always wanted to experience it. I haven't started testosterone or gotten surgery because I wanted to wait until I had kids. I didn't mind waiting either. I feel somewhat okay in my body, and whenever I do feel dysphoric, my husband is always there to help. When I transitioned, James was and is still very supportive. However, his family did not take it well. They continue to call me by my deed name, along with the wrong pronouns. Whenever James or I correct them, they bring up the fact that I don't have the right parts and I don't look or sound like a man either. It upsets me at the start, as I had been very close with his family, but now I've gotten used to it and do my best to ignore it. James, however, can't get past it, and when someone says something, he ends up arguing with them. When we told his family that I was pregnant, they were all excited, as this was the first baby born into the family. My mother-in-law especially was very excited and began telling me about different things I needed to do to keep the baby healthy. As the months passed, I kept hearing comments about me being a mom, even though I made it clear that I want the baby to call me Papa or Dad. I've been told that I can't have a silly surgery to remove my breasts because I need them to feed my baby. Also, they're glad I came to my senses about pretending to be a man. We found out we were having a little boy, and almost instantly we picked a name for him. We both love anything to do with space, and we wanted our firstborn to have a space-related name. So we decided that our little boy would be called Leo, after the constellation. It is so cute! My mother-in-law wasn't happy with the name and started calling him Isaac. James and I corrected her numerous times, telling her that that wasn't our son's name, but she wouldn't listen. So many red flags here, my friend. She got a blanket, a few onesies, and a teddy bear with the name Isaac engraved on them. She told us that when we see him, we'll see that she was right and we'll name him Isaac. I feel like this is a layer of why people don't share the baby's names until after the baby arrives, because then we have situations like this where family members want to add their 2 cents and your child's name isn't up for debate. We're telling you what the baby's name is. We're not asking you, what should we name the baby? I know. We decided to do a hospital birth, and my mother-in-law demanded that she be in the room so she could see her first grandchild being born. Neither James or I wanted her there. We wanted to be a special moment with just the two of us. She wouldn't take no for an answer. Last week, we were at their house for dinner, and she began bragging to the rest of the family that she would be there when I had the baby. James snapped and told her she wasn't going to be there, especially with how she's treated me over the past few years with my transition. She got upset and yelled at him about this being an important moment for her. But James wasn't having it, and they both got into a pretty heated argument. I had enough and told her to f off and take no for an answer, or she wasn't ever going to see her grandson. She started crying, and I received multiple glares from the rest of the family. James and I left, and neither of us spoke during the ride home. But when we got home, he said he was sorry for how he acted and didn't mean to upset me. I told him it wasn't his fault and he had every right to say something. We spent the night cuddled in bed, watching TV and feeling our son kick. In the last few days, I received numerous messages from people telling me that I shouldn't have treated I received numerous messages from people telling me that I shouldn't have threatened my mother-in-law, that I had no right to do that, and that I should apologize. I even got messages from some of our friends who heard the story from James's sister. Absolutely not. I'm not even done with the story yet, but you are not the a-hole for this. I replied saying that she needed to apologize for overstepping and not listening to a word James or I had said. The responses to that weren't kind and I haven't replied. I keep being bombarded with messages, and now James is as well. Did we go too far? Should we apologize for how we handled the situation? James says no, but I don't know what to do. Okay, so when you are pregnant, your body is going through a lot of different emotions. There's a lot of hormones. You're in a very sensitive space. Physically, emotionally, spiritually, there's a lot of stuff happening. Although you are in a more sensitive space, that does not mean that this gives people the right to walk all over you, to impose their own visions, their own desires, their own goals, their own names to your experience. This isn't a reason for that to happen. So, in my personal opinion, I think you did a fabulous job setting your boundaries. I think that it can get a little bit intense when families are not accepting of gender roles that we have decided to accept or deny, and that can make things a little bit more intense. I feel like maybe boundaries could have been set before the situation escalated to what it did at that dinner, but it is what it is. As you get closer to delivering your baby, protecting that space is really important. Even if you do end up not having, certain family members involved, either during the birth or postpartumly, there's so many things there, but I think the most important thing is for you to really protect that space, right? We do have an update on this story. So let's see. Let's read the update. Update. I want to start off by saying thank you for the support. It really means a lot. Okay, so James went over to his parents a couple of days after my post to pick up some things. I don't know what they talked about, but when he came home, he was pissed and told me that we are never going to see them again. I didn't argue with him, but later that night, I asked him what happened, and all he said was, "I can't believe those people are related to me." I didn't ask anything else and just hugged him tightly. A few days later, I went into labor. James and I didn't tell anyone, and we spent the next 34 hours together. And when our beautiful baby boy made his appearance, it was just us, just like we wanted, and it was amazing. I love that for you. I love when you have the ideal birth experience that works well for your family, because nobody else's opinion matters. Nobody else is there with you at 2 a.m. with a screaming, crying baby. Nobody else is there with you at 1 in the morning as you're navigating your contractions. No one besides you and your partner. I love this. So, it was amazing. I was able to go home 2 days after I gave birth, and when we arrived home, We found James's family in our living room.
What?
What? I'm sorry, what? We never gave any of them a key to our house. The only people to have keys are me and James. James was furious and started telling them to leave, but they refused to go. They tried to see Leo, but James pulled the cover on the baby carrier down while blocking their view of him. They started yelling, demanding that we show them Leo. James's mom called Leo Isaac again and said it was her right to see him as his grandmother. James handed the carrier to me and told me to go to the bedroom with Leo. I didn't hesitate and left the room. I heard shouting coming from both James and his family, James threatening them by saying he'd call the cops if they didn't go. And that got them to shut up. About 15 minutes later, I heard the front door open and close, and James came upstairs. When he stepped into the bedroom, he just broke down. He collapsed onto the ground and started sobbing. My heart broke, and I hurried over to him and held him in my arms. He kept apologizing to me over and over, and when I said it was okay and we'd figure something out, he just kept saying no and apologizing again. When he calmed himself down, he told me he just wanted his family to be happy for him, to love him, and to respect him. He kept thinking of what he did wrong to make them feel this way, and the longer he did that, he began to get upset again. I stopped him and firmly told him that he didn't need them, that his family was right here, that me and Leo aren't going anywhere, and will always love him. We spent the rest of the day in bed talking about what to do with Leo between us. Since that day, we've been in contact with the police, and they've been so helpful and kind about our situation. It's been hard on James, but he knows it's best for us not to contact them anymore. We hope this will be done soon, and we can put it behind us and focus on the future. But for now, we're enjoying being a family of 3 and dotting on our little boy every chance we get. Drama. Okay. That's a lot. That's a lot for somebody to deal with. This story got a lot of traction and there are a lot of comments, and I'm not going to read them all. This comment. First, they managed to gain entry to your home. If they broke in, that's illegal. If they try it again, don't enter the house, but call the police and say there are intruders in the house and you don't know whether they are armed. Second, they knew exactly when you'd be home. You have a mole. You need to uncover the mole. They are no longer trusted. So a really important thing that I share with the families that I work with is about setting boundaries. Setting boundaries with your family. How much do you share with your family about what's happening in the pregnancy, what your plans are for the birth or for the postpartum? Setting boundaries so that these types of things don't happen. So the original question is, am I the a-hole for telling my mother-in-law she's not going to be in the room when I give birth? No, you are not the a-hole. And I am so proud of you for setting your boundaries and for supporting your partner during this time, because having to set boundaries with your family during what's supposed to be a very special and sacred moment and having it tainted with people's attitude, their perceptions of what they are entitled to, or them wanting to kind of take over the experience, it can be really intense. So supporting that nucleus of your new and growing family is what's most important. No, you are not the a-hole. Gracias for sipping your birth tea with me today. Mijas, if your suegras try to take over your experience the way this suegra did, comment below. Because I know some of y'all have some chisme. And this tia's ready to read it. So don't forget to like, subscribe, drop a comment, and I will see you in the next video.